If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I post a new Tom Brady video every day.
The people in Boston are down on Brady. They are ripping Tom Brady to shreds in New England. And I've got two examples of that. Now, you tell me if you think these are fair. Dan Shaughnessy is a longtime columnist at the Boston Globe. I know Dan a little, not well. He's been on shows that I've hosted over the years. I like him. And he wrote this: why do so many folks cover for Tom? Watching the obtuse ESPN gang ignore Tom's fingerprints on Bruce Arians' cold body, parentheses, I think I saw an Arians chalk outline on the pavement outside Raymond James Stadium, made my head explode. Ben Volen wrote a similar item saying that Brady, quote, in recent years has become more assertive about controlling his career after years of subservience to the Patriots. It seems pretty clear to me that Brady either explicitly told the Glazers he couldn't play for Arians anymore, or the Glazers took the hint. Either way, Brady won.
I don't think Tom Brady shoved Bruce Arians out the door.
I guess my question to both of them would be, why is that a bad thing? Does anyone think Bruce Arians was a great coach? Bruce Arians is a great guy. Bruce Arians' legacy is all that he did for diversity and inclusion, a major issue in the National Football League. And this is a guy who walked the walk and as well as talked the talk about giving minority coaches opportunities, about giving female coaches opportunities, about doing any number of other things that in the big picture are more important than being a great football coach. But he's not been a great head coach.
Quarterbacks have had major problems. Bradshaw hated Chuck Noll. Phil Simms and Bill Parcells, major battles. That's true. Elway chafed at controlling Dan Reeves. Joe Montana, big issues with Bill Walsh. Mike Holmgren had some with Brett Favre. Aikman thought Barry Switzer was a clown. Russell Wilson butted heads with the Seattle coaches.
If indeed Tom Brady said, look, if I'm going to keep playing, I want to win championships, and that's not the best coach for me to do it, and he went about orchestrating that, is that a bad thing?
Not from where I sit.
Brady's not doing this anymore just to do it.
Bruce Arians had won one playoff game before Tom Brady became his quarterback. I agree with you. Bruce Arians is a fine coach, a good coach, but he's a very replaceable coach. Tom Brady is the least replaceable quarterback that ever lived.
Yeah.
So if I'm choosing between the two, the choice is obvious and clear.
I don't believe there was a get out of here, I'm leaving. I believe there was a I'm 44, I'm going to be 45 once the season starts. I got no time to waste. I'll come back, but things are a little choppy, and I'm kind of over that.
So I don't know what obtuse ESPN gang Dan is talking about. Teddy Bruschi on Get Up. I mean, we have one of the biggest shows at ESPN, so I'll just use our show as an example. Teddy Bruschi said he doesn't think that Brady made it an ultimatum.
I think it was understood. Brady was like, you know, I'm going to be 45. I'll come back, but I'm not really into getting criticized publicly. I'm going to kind of do it my way here.
I don't think that's the same thing as ignoring the obvious connection there. I think Ben Volen has it right. I think it is likely that the ownership of the Buccaneers took the hint. Brady strikes me as the kind of guy who's able to keep his hands clean on stuff like that. So I wonder if this sounds a little sour grapesy.
Tampa, if Tom doesn't come back, is a mess at quarterback. Like, they're a mess. They're a bad franchise. Tom comes back, they can win a Super Bowl.
In the end, Coach Arians put this in motion even before Tom Brady made the decision to come back. When Brady retired, he already had kind of started thinking about this because Byron Leftwich was going to get shut out as a head coach, and so was Todd Bowles. And they had this feeling. And then all of a sudden, Tom comes back, and then he says, you know what, this is the right time to do it. So this was nothing that was, a Tom Brady is forcing Bruce Arians out type situation. Not at all.
Like, do you look down, like when Brady Sr. was on, when Tom's father was on here, he seemed very defensive, as though there was a lot of criticism for Brady changing his mind, retiring and coming back. I don't know. I'm not hearing it. Like, I don't feel like I'm hearing that criticism. The man is entitled to change his mind. Like, to me, the explanation for his decision to come back was a pretty easy one, which is to say he decided to step away for what turned out to be the wrong reasons. He decided to step away because he thought that was the right thing to do for the people around him. And what he came to realize, and maybe those, I don't know his relationship with Giselle well enough to know this, but I can think it is certainly possible that after whatever period of time it was, Giselle said to him, you know something? You're not going to be fulfilled. You're not going to be happy. We'll make this work. You got to go do this until it's out of your system, or you're not going to be a happy person, and no one wants to be married to an unhappy person. I think that's a perfectly reasonable explanation, and I don't think there's any obvious room for criticism in it. And if he felt, if I'm going to come back to Tampa, I need a better coach, I don't know. He played for the greatest coach of all time. I can see him saying, why is it I have to coach this team? Where's the guy who's supposed to be coaching the team? I don't see that as being such a terrible thing. Maybe I'm missing the point.
Here's why I think the Bruce Arians factor is the biggest among them all, because it's pretty clear that Tom Brady didn't really want to retire. He did so haphazardly, and he stayed retired for 40 days. He gave up football for Lent.
Right.
Like, Tom Brady never intended to be retired. I think it's much likelier that he caught wind that Bruce Arians might not come back than his wife miraculously discovered after 40 days that he's miserable at home.
I actually think what happened was Brady was considering trying to find a way to get to another team. And when he realized they weren't going to let him do it, no matter what happened. Remember, Arians said, bad business to let him go. Favre did this once upon a time. Favre waited until the team, he retired from the Jets. And then he waited until the Jets drafted Mark Sanchez. And then he said, on second thought, I think I'll come back, knowing the Jets would just release him. And he wound up going exactly where he wanted to go all along, which is Minnesota. I think that that's what Brady wanted to do. I'm not convinced Miami isn't the place that he was going to wind up. We'll never know. And then it was made clear to him, perhaps, we're not going to let you do that. If you're going to come back and play, you're going to play here. And who knows how that conversation went. But it certainly would it seem reasonable to me that it might have gone to, well, if we're going to do that, we're going to need to talk about the coaching. I think all that is fair. Like, I don't think that's, and again, let me make it clear, I'm just speculating. I don't know any of that, but that sounds reasonable.
But in the end, Brady's back in Tampa. Bruce Arians, who, by the way, had 11 minority coaches on his staff, including females, last year, the highest in the history of the National Football League. So when you look at that sort of thing, that Bruce stepping down and having some want to empower and put some diversity in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, by the way, who's also been a part of hiring. This is their fourth black head coach that they've hired now. So when you start to look at that, you understand why Bruce would step down, because in the end, like he said, there's no telling where this thing goes if I retire next year.
And I guess what I'm saying is, would you criticize him for that? Magic Johnson, who just cried in my studio an hour ago and is maybe the most beloved human being in American sports, got a coach fired in L.A. at the very beginning of his career. He got Paul Westhead fired. There's no secret in that. So that's what stars do. Tom Brady knows better than anyone what they need to win a championship. And if he said, we need a better coach, I don't think that you criticize that. So I'm just a little thrown. I don't mind the criticism if indeed that's criticism of me or of us. I'm a big boy. I can take it. But I don't think that's a reasonable thing to criticize. I think that's the way the great ones think. If I'm going to come back, I'm not going to play for that guy.
Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe as I post a new Tom Brady video every day.